Raz having the results that you mentioned, top 8 at OCIC, top 8 at Bochum, regional finalists at Harrogate, and top 4 at Liverpool regionals, looking to have that big win even.
Yes, both of these players looking for a win. As a Masters Division player for Seinosuke, as he was able to win the Champions League in Yokohama back in 2022, had some other solid finishes in the Seniors Division, and looks like this is indeed Seinosuke's very first season as a Masters Division player. What an impressive feat. We've got two extremely young players. You mentioned Michael Davidson, of course, with his top 8 run. That was cut short. Now Seinosuke keeping it up for the young guns here into our top 4.
We do see triple grass energy being prized, a copy of Dark Patch on the other, and the single copy of Roaring Moon getting prized. And we see a key judge here, which is a way that Seinosuke can disrupt Raz's game plans.
Yeah, kind of awkward prizes, nothing that's detrimental to the deck's overall success. That Roaring Moon, like you mentioned, is a one-of. Giratina V-Star would probably be annoying to prize in certain matchups. I don't think it's going to be as relevant here. Regidrago probably wanting to go for some of the other attacking options with that Apex Dragon attack. Well, Pablo, I'm ready. I think our players are ready. I hope our audience is ready. Let's get into this top 4 match.
We're going to see handshake perhaps. There we go. Yep, the fist bump, and we're gonna get this top 4 match ready to go. Chip, Raz does end up going first. I wonder whose choice that was.
And it will be an Ultra Ball played immediately. Discarding that, canceling Cologne and a Professor's Research. This will allow Raz to search the deck for any one Pokemon and add it directly to the hand. Raz has started his Regidrago V, which is normally a pretty good option, but in this situation, he's got to be feeling a little scared of what Seinosuke could pull off on turn 1.
Yep, it is susceptible to that Roaring Moon EX aggression. Now, we've talked a lot about Petron DX. That card is really good, but it's only going to be good in the late game. It does require your opponent to have taken a few prizes before you can actually start taking some big knockouts, but Roaring Moon EX can take down anything.
Over on Seinosuke's side, the start of Radiant Greninja is honestly pretty strong. You have the option to leave a single prize Pokemon in your active spot if you don't have a great setup, and you're probably going to have a great setup because Radiant Greninja's concealed cards is an excellent way to activate all of your possibilities.
And with subjugating chains from Petron DX, you're bound to have that easy retreat. You don't have to worry about having the right Pokemon as long as you have that. All your attackers are dark type as well. So things looking a little dicey for us in this beginning. This Squawk ability, Squawk and Seize, should be pretty big as it could lead into how this game plays out. Can Raz find a backup Regidrago? Can he establish some energies in play that on the Teal Mask Ogre pawns to respond quickly and easily to any Roaring Moon EXs that come out, and can Seinosuke piece out a 1KO? So many things can happen with these two very aggressive decks.
Squawkabilly EX has become one of the premier support Pokemon in our Pokemon trading card game format at the moment. It's only got 160 HP. It does not have the strongest of attacks, but Squawk and Seize, while it can only be used on your first turn, it allows you to discard your hand and draw 6 brand new cards, which we will see Raz utilize immediately, throwing away a couple of supporter cards that could certainly be awkward. It is mitigated by the draw of a Professor's Research here, and there's a few Teal Mask Ogre Pawn. But there is something missing from this hand, Pablo. I don't see any energy cards, and I don't even see an Earthen Vessel.
No Earthen Vessel, no way to switch out, no way to promote a single price Pokemon to try to offset the 2/2/2 price trade-off. So Raz is going to be very susceptible to Seinosuke's aggression in this upcoming turn.
Thinking about what else to do, is actually going to play extremely carefully here, respecting the potential of the turn 1 KO on Seinosuke's side, using this energy switch to move the grass energy from his active Regidrago V onto the bench. And let's look at this hand. Already a Squawkabilly. I don't see any darkness energy, but there are a ton of darkness type Pokemon already.
Interesting to note, Seinosuke does play 2 copies of Squawkabilly. He really relies on that Squawk and Seize to get going, get the aggression, get those energies in the discard pile, activate those dark patches, find the Professor's side as Vitality. It's all about that Squawk and Seize, and it is a liability, right? If that's in play, but he's really valuing having access to that, and with 2 of those being in his deck, the chances of them being priced are much lower. We've definitely seen a lot of players get slowed down because their Squawk ability was hiding in their prize cards.
Yeah, Seinosuke, extremely high value on the consistency when it comes to deck building. You know, you may see some players choose to play something like Hisuian Heavy Ball as opposed to the second copy of Squawkabilly EX. Seinosuke recognizes, you know, hey, I may be able to Hisuian Heavy Ball for a Squawkabilly if it's prized, but that means I have to find Hisuian Heavy Ball. Instead of that, I'm just going to play the double Squawkabilly. I can always guarantee that's a pretty good odds I'll be able to find it.
We see a lot of basic Pokemon
Wow.
hitting the field. Pokestop also in play. Even one Roaring Moon getting discarded and not playing Judge, recognizing that Raz has discarded 3 supporters already, has a low card hand. Perhaps he doesn't have a good follow-up to what he just did this turn.
We're going to need to see some more digging from Seinosuke if he would like to attack. An easy choice to discard off the trekking shoes. It allows him to look at the top card of his deck. He can choose to put it in his hand or discard it. In this case, choosing to discard it and now drawing that additional card. Pokestop being utilized to discard the top 3 cards of the deck. There is the Prime Catcher and also another trekking shoes to keep hiking his way on through.
Raz is going to love seeing that Professor Sav's Vitality in Seinosuke's discard pile, but Seinosuke already holding the other Professor Sav's Vitality. And that Prime Catcher, I mean, already the Petron pretty much guarantees a knockout for Seinosuke as long as he finds enough Darkness Energy into a discard pile. Probably a Dark Patch. That might be the missing piece here.
Now we do see the Earthen Vessel, and then the find from those trekking shoes was an Ultra Ball. This can guarantee 2 energy cards in the discard pile, at least potentially 3 if he wants to make sure that Dark Patch is active and also get full value from the Professor Sada's Vitality. Seinosuke shuffling after the grab of the pair of energy cards. Maybe going for concealed cards before the Ultra Ball use. I think that's what we're more than likely going to see here. Using that Radiant Greninja, discarding this Darkness Energy card to draw 2 from the top.
Still missing 1 key piece. Usually these decks tend to play Energy Switch in order to manipulate energy a little bit better, sometimes some water energy, but in this case, Seinosuke keeping it simple, keeping it straightforward, no energy switches, and straightforward Professor Sada reliance, Dark Patches into those Roaring Moons. 1 big card missing here, I think. The Dark Patch, I'm not sure I catch it in his hand.
And Seinosuke has an interesting choice here. Does he accelerate an energy to each of these Roaring Moon EX? And looks like that will be the choice. This could open up the opportunity for him to whiff if he does not draw another Darkness Energy and a way to get the one in his hand into the discard pile. And I don't think he quite has everything just yet.
Oh.
He has the Dark Patch, he has the Darkness Energy, but yeah, if he had not attached both energy with Sada, he would have gotten the knockout here.
Does he have the Dark Patch chip?
Yes, it's a gold Dark Patch in his hand.
Oh, it's gold. Okay, that's probably... Oh, yeah, you're right. I could not recognize that. I was looking for the regular one. You're right. If he had not attached, then he would have been able to pull it off.
Wow, what a huge opening here for Raz. And you can see Seinosuke was not sure what to do. Debated attaching that second energy card. Decided to play a little bit of the risk. Knew there was a decent shot. He drew an energy card, and he was unable to do it.
Yeah, and even an energy card or an Earthen Vessel, which he plays 4 copies of as well. So big whiff on the opening that he had, and now it's on Raz to start the aggression, get this prize trade going. And I mean, he also needs to overcome the issue of there being a Radiant Greninja in the active spot, right? Taking 1 prize card, probably not good enough at this point. It's gotta be 2, and therefore you need to boss or Prime Catcher, which you only play 1 of, but he's still missing the V-Star, the energy switches, still a little bit of ways to go for Raz to get an attack off here.
Yeah, Raz does need quite a bit, needs to find that Prime Catcher. Nest Ball able to grab Mew EX from the deck. Of course, Nest Ball allowing you to search your deck for any basic Pokemon and place it directly onto the bench. If Raz is able to thin the hand down, he'll be able to use this restart ability in order to draw cards up until he has 3 in the hand. A nice way to get a few extra cards drawn here and there. It's actually going to be Raz utilizing Seinosuke's Pokestop, and for a pretty decent value, as he is able to find an Ultra Ball and superior energy retrieval and minimal loss here, and honestly a good discard from that Hisuian Gudra V-Star hitting the discard pile.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing a Gudra KO on the Squawkabilly on the bench. No energies in the discard pile right now, so the superior energy retrieval not super useful at this point in time, but already has the Ready Drago V-Star. Can get a Dragapult DX here off of this Ultra Ball. Maybe a second Ready Drago V-Star. I thought there was a research in hand, but I guess oh, he just discarded. All right, so
I think
being a
he's
little
already
bit more
used it
conservative.
even. I think he like kicked off the turn by using it, no?
No, he discarded 2 in the beginning, and then he chose to discard the one he had in his hand with the Ultra.
Sure.
So gonna play a more conservative Iono, who does recognize that there's a lot of cards in Seinosuke's hand at this point in time, so wants to try to limit the options.
We do see that Regidrago V-Star being pulled from the deck, evolving the active Regidrago V. Legacy Star is going to be an option at some point this turn if Raz needs it to pull off a really powerful play.
Legacy Star is so key, right? I mean, I think when it came out, you wouldn't compare it to Lugia V-Star's ability, but at this point in time, you have to recognize how powerful it is, thanks to the other cards that have been released to help sustain the deck.
It seems like Regidrago was one of those decks that just got a little bit of help from almost every set that came out, you know. More Dragon-type Pokemon being released, more Earthen Vessels coming out, and it was eventually Teal Mask Ogerpon EX being the thing to send it over the edge alongside Dragapult EX. It was just a pass from Raz after evolving both Regidrago V-Star, choosing not to utilize Legacy Star, and now the ball is back in Seinosuke's court. See what he's able to achieve. Wants to check the discard pile, see what resources Raz has already utilized. What do you think about Raz's decision there, not using Legacy Star, not digging further for an attack?
I mean, there must be a reason for this. He must be planning to take like multiple KOs at once. Maybe wasn't feeling confident on his chances of attacking, maybe trying to rely on disruption a little bit to be able to win through that. I mean, I am a little bit puzzled, to be honest, but I'm sure Raz has calculated this and has factored this into his decision-making in order to beat this matchup. They had a lot of time to think about what to do against each other, right?
And look at this from Seinosuke. Multiple Pokemon Catcher in the hand. That is because Seinosuke is playing 4 copies of the card. We do see the first flip being utilized, and it is a heads, bringing Teal Mask Ogerpon EX from the bench up into the active spot. This is much easier of a Pokemon for Seinosuke to knock out this turn. Professor Sada's Vitality will bring 2 Darkness Energy from the discard pile, attach them to each of those ancient Pokemon on the bench, and draw 3 additional cards. Seinosuke continuing to dig through the deck with a Trekking Shoes, looking at this top card, debating if it is worth holding on to or is it better put in the discard pile. Having a good think about it, it is a Dark Patch. That's a pretty strong card.
Very strong card, very useful throughout the whole game. It's how you get to power up the right Pokemon at the right time. Now, this Pokemon Catcher is really big because this allows Seinosuke to get out 1 KO through Calamity Storm without the self-damage from Frenzied Gouging, and that means there cannot be a 4-prize retaliation through the use of Phantom Dive in a future turn. And I'm pretty sure we lose the resource of the Pokestop. We do get poisoned in the active off of that subjugating chains. So a little bit of damage, but it's way less than Frenzied Gouging.
Yes, not too bad. A very worthwhile trade-off as well. Using that subjugating chains does poison this Roaring Moon. Only 1 single damage counter placed for it, and a 2-prize KO is awarded. Seinosuke jumping ahead here in this first game. Raz Wolpe immediately responding to kick off the turn with an Iono, forcing both players to shuffle their hands, placing them on the bottom of the deck. They will draw a number of cards equal to their prize cards remaining. Raz here getting 6 cards, and how about 4 energy from that draw?
That is crazy. When you already have 3 energy in your prize cards, then you draw 4 in a row with 1 in play as well. Now, off the Teal Dance, a very crucial Ultra Ball will allow him to potentially get that Dragapult EX in the discard pile, but will likely require, unless Restart draws him an energy switch, to utilize the Legacy V-Star to get something going. But this does seem like something that Raz was planning. Go behind, get a powerful Iono going. There's no Fizandipity X in play to help Seinosuke sustain his hand at this point in time. And maybe you don't get a KO, but you Phantom Dive plus the poison, then all of a sudden that Roaring Moon is 10 HP away from getting KO'd, regardless of which attack it uses. If Seinosuke uses the other Roaring Moon as well, it could be, I don't know, it could lead to no threats available for Seinosuke at some point.
Teal Dance accelerating a grass energy from the hand to that benched Ogerpon EX, getting an extra energy card in play, one additional card able to be drawn. Raz Wolpe now just an energy switch away from pulling off his first Apex Dragon of the game. Has not been able to find it as of yet, and it may be time to flip that V-Star marker. It may be time for Legacy Star.
There's no energy. Oh, there is one energy switch in the discard pile right now. So the attack with Apex Dragon is guaranteed at this point. And I think this will finally reveal what Raz is planning. Big V-Star here. One card likely going to be the energy switch. I wonder what the other card will be, Chip.
We do see the 7 being discarded, having to think now about what the other card will be. I agree. Of course, one does certainly need to be the energy switch. The other choice is certainly up in there. It could depend on the strength of Raz's hand, perhaps a supporter card. Perhaps he will value getting back more recovery as far as energy cards go. It does look like superior energy retrieval is being considered. It also could be another energy switch to move those energy cards around to prepare for the next attacker.
Very important when there's the threatening frenzied gouging, right? Like, it's pretty much almost guaranteed that Seinosuke will take another 2 prizes no matter what. So it's very important for Raz to make this decision very crucial. We do see the energy switch, transferring the energy to the other Regidrago. I couldn't tell what the other card was. I think it was superior energy retrieval, probably expecting to retaliate with Ogerpon, maybe giving up on the possibility to attack with Regidrago. And I think the game plan might be try to make Seinosuke miss off of Iono. I think that's what
we're look at this game plan. It's going to be a Trifrost.
All right.
Perhaps taking a page out of Isaiah Bradner's book. We saw this play from Isaiah earlier on. Raz was able to defeat Isaiah in their top 8 match. And Raz is effectively putting Seinosuke on a clock. You've got to win. You've got to respond. You've got to disrupt me and do something, or else I am going to win next turn.
Pulling that off without your V-Star will be a little problematic, right? Raz didn't lose anything too significant off of the Legacy Star that would prevent this play, but now you can't reuse those energy switches. Now you need to find exactly what you need, which superior energy retrieval definitely helps. That means Raz needs to find 2 energy switches.
Here comes a Pokemon catcher. Choosing what to bring up could be key here. It is a heads flip. Now, what do you take out? Do you get rid of that energy card and play on the Ogerpon? It looks like that will be the case. That seems like the safest bet. Force Raz to have as much as possible.
I agreed. Force Raz to... You're asking your opponent the question, right? Do you have the superior energy retrieval, which I guess he does have that piece of information. Then can you find the 2 energy switches? But you also need another Ogerpon, right? That's pretty key. You need another Ogerpon to get that energy into play and then transfer it. Can Raz pull that off with a 4-card hand? It's going to be a tough.
Now, an interesting thing here is Seinosuke does not have a stadium card in play at the moment. So Calamity Storm would not be knocking out this Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. He would need to use the Frenzied Gouging, which would put a lot of damage counters on his Roaring Moon EX.
Now, choosing to Nest Ball for a backup Roaring Moon instead of that Pheasantipity EX, maybe that's already in the hand to find a few extra resources. Maybe he's confident he can pull this off with what he has right now. We're going to see the retreat. Poison gets removed. We're going to see the next Roaring Moon get promoted. What does he have in store for us from this hand?
Looks like it will be that Professor Sada's Vitality, attaching energy cards to both of these Roaring Moon EX. So effectively here, Seinosuke is just saying, I hope you don't have it. Wasn't able to find something like a Judge to disrupt Raz, which we know Seinosuke is playing 2 copies of. I believe 1 hit the discard pile, 1 was prized, but he did take it off of the prize cards. I think the thing Seinosuke is looking for here is a stadium card. Was he able to find one, or is it going to have to be Frenzied Gouging?
I think it will be the Frenzied Gouging. 200 self-damage onto Roaring Moon EX in exchange for a clean knockout on that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Seinosuke 1 attack away from winning this game, but Raz also 1 attack away from winning this game. Can he find the 2 energy switches left in his deck? There aren't any in the prize cards. There are 3 energies still there, but he does have the superior energy retrieval. So the energy part of this situation is covered. It's how do you find those 2 energy switches? There aren't that many cards in his deck.
Not too many cards, not too many cards. There is the Earthen Vessel discarding a boss's orders. I see 1 energy switch.
Yeah, 2, the very bottom, almost. Yeah, they're 2, they're
of
gold.
Them, those gold
Yep.
energy switch from our favorite expansion, Roaring Skies.
Yep.
Is
There's
he
8
able
cards
to
left, I
find
think, in the
them?
deck.
Does he have a research available?
I know 3 are gone. I couldn't tell if the last one is in the hand. I feel like if it were, we would already be seeing it get played.
It doesn't look like it. It could come down to Raz drawing into a supporter card here. He also does need to utilize the superior more than likely. That's another piece of this puzzle.
There's no Serendipity X in this list. There's no Serendipity X to support the situation. So Raz might need to draw both energy switches off of restart. Mew EX will need to be the hero for Raz here.
It will come down to this restart more than likely. This is going to be extremely close. Raz needs to win this turn, needs to pull everything off in order to get this knockout. Otherwise, Seinosuke will more than likely win the game on the next turn. It's not guaranteed. Seinosuke having energy cards on 2 Roaring Moon on the bench, split a little too thin here potentially.
Right. I think there's exactly 7 cards, 7 or 8. I couldn't tell. I think we're going to see the teal dance first. Oh, wait, there's only 1 teal mask. So it's actually impossible to pull off at this point.
It's not. It's not possible to pull off. Attach the turn, send up the Cleffa, and Grasping Draw. Looks like a restart to be used first.
Yeah.
Got to make sure that you don't draw your whole deck here, Raz. 3 cards in the hand. Looks like there is more than 4 in the deck. Grasping Draw, cross the fingers. Seinosuke, it may come down to Pokemon Catcher. It may come down to Prime Catcher. Does Seinosuke have the pieces to pull together the knockout? Now, an interesting thing here as well, Seinosuke needs to find that Gust card, can knock out the Mew EX on the bench with the Calamity Storm, does not necessarily have to use the Frenzy Gouging.
Does have Prime Catcher available as well. Can he reach that card? That is the question. As 1 Prime Catcher, 1 Pokemon Catcher, 1 Boss's Orders as well. So Radiant Greninja could be an option.
Yeah, I think it was 2 Pokemon Catcher for what it's worth. So that's an additional out as well. 4 cards to find. 2 of them yield a 50-50. 2 of them win you the game on the spot.
2 energies being thinned out as well. This is coming down to the wire. You have to assume after that Grasping Draw, Raz will have the combo. Right now, he only even needs 1 energy switch instead of 2. So Seinosuke has to win this turn. Otherwise, Raz will likely walk away the winner of this match.
It's going to be very close, and it could come down to this concealed cards. 2 cards to be drawn. 1, 2. It's a Pokemon Catcher. This is a massive flip. Tons of money on the line here for game number 1.
And it's a heads.
Is going to choose to bring up the Regidrago V-Star and actually just go for the Frenzy Gouging. It does indeed work, even though the knockout happens on the Roaring Moon EX. Seinosuke getting the win in game number 1.
Was that 3 for 3 head flips on Pokemon Catcher?
It was indeed 3 for 3 flips on the Pokemon Catcher. That's how you get to top 4 of the Pokemon World Championships with 4 Pokemon Catcher in your deck.
I mean, we've talked about how if you run 50-50 with the Pokemon Catchers, you're likely in a good situation. Or the Crushing Hammers, right? These powerful effects are done with a coin flip for a reason, right? They're so big. Can you imagine, Chip? There was a time when Pokemon Catcher was not a coin flip. Those were wild times, but now Pokemon Catcher almost felt like it wasn't a coin flip for Seinosuke. He's able to pull it off, and pretty amazing. Let's recap what happened in this first game, which was very exciting. Seinosuke getting the first knockout with the Pokestop, with that Calamity Storm, getting those first 2 prizes, and Raz responding in very surprising fashion, utilizing Kyurem's Trifrost attack to set up a win next turn, a 6 prize win, and getting so close.
Getting so close indeed. Raz went for the play Isaiah Bradner has seemingly patented, and it just was not quite there, did not quite have the resources due to using Legacy Star earlier in the turn. And the game very well could have come down to this flip right here. Pokemon Catcher hits the heads, brings up any of those 2 prize Pokemon, Seinosuke with the win.
That was a immense coin flip. That, I mean, I feel like we're seeing confusion flips, Pokemon Catcher flips, crushing hammer flips as well, end up deciding games. And even though some players dislike it, these keeps things very exciting, especially for us, Chip. Yeah, I'm not the one on the receiving end on the Pokemon Catcher or relying on it, so I'm happy to see the excitement happen.
How about all these flips that we've had recently deciding super high stakes games? This one right here, of course, you got to cast that Masters Finals match at NAIC with that $10,000 confusion flip.
Yep. I mean, it was only game 1, but you don't get to see that often. I've been playing for 20 years. I don't think I've had such a high stakes coin flip as the one we just saw or as the one we saw that day at NAIC.
Well, our players are already underway here in this game number 2. Raz Wolpe once again prizing 3 grass energy. He'll realize that super quickly from this earthen vessel that he has played, allowing him to discard that Hisuian Gudra V-Star. It could have been any card, but it does turn out Hisuian Gudra V-Star is a pretty one to get down, and now he'll be able to search the deck for any 2 energy cards, basic energies that is, and add them to the hand.
Now, interestingly enough, Raz, now having lost game 1, did choose to go first. So it seems like his major game plan is going to be that win over the course of 2 turns, trying to avoid the 2-2-2 as he knows he's up against a more aggressive deck and he can't challenge that. So it seems like it's going to be the Triforce plan again. However, I do have to ask, like, with the weakness advantage of Teal Mask Ogerpon, if things are flipped, if Seinosuke goes first and Raz is able to get 2 Ogerpons down, 3 energies, and 1 energy switch, you can take down a Roaring Moon through weakness and initiate that 2-2-2. But maybe that's a little bit too much to ask for. Pulling that off without Pokemon Catchers, without with your 1 copy of Grand Catcher, maybe it's a little too difficult.
And I do think that plan does get ruined by the fact that Seinosuke is playing that 1 copy of Roaring Moon.
Right.
That basic Roaring Moon that's not the EX Pokemon. It's extremely easy to get it into the active spot as well, thanks to the Petrarunts subjugating chains. So I think that's why Raz has decided to go this route. Now, it is something we talked about in the pre-match, right? The fact that Teal Mask Ogerpon could be an attacker. We didn't really see Raz even consider it, it seemed like, in game number 1. Do you think it's something he should maybe try to pivot to here in game number 2 at all?
I mean, if he had considered it, I do believe he would have chosen to go second, right? There are a lot of Pokemon that Seinosuke can promote that are not grass weak. Maybe he's not confident on pulling that off through Squawk and finding a boss's orders. It's not as an aggressive deck as Seinosuke's deck is in the very first turn, so trying to just go for the double Triforce, sorry, and if you get to go first, you're more likely to be able to set up that first Ready Drago V-Star without using the Legacy Star. I think that's the biggest key here.
And what a turn 1 find here for Raz. It is that Cleffa, the Grasping Draw, a great option, but more importantly, perhaps, a 1 prize Pokemon that he can send into the active spot, and very easily something he can retreat into after the Teal Dance on the active Ogerpon EX.
If your opponent cannot go or take a 2 prize knockout in the very first turn of the game, then that gives Raz an extra turn to pull off the double Trifrost possibility. Now, Seinosuke must have seen that play before, and to the best of his ability, he might try to limit his bench in order to prevent that option from opening up for Raz. But this deck does rely a lot on Squawk, does rely a lot on Roaring Moon EXs, of course, and Petrarant. So if you don't have a solid backup bench, then you could be left susceptible to a simple Iono wrecking you.
Pretty good draw from the first couple of trekking shoes for Seinosuke. Was able to find a Dark Patch off of the first one, able to grab into that. Actually, excuse me, I do believe it was a Pokestop, a pretty powerful card in the early turns of this game. And the problem as well with this plan from Raz is that it is completely nullified by a Pokemon Catcher. If Seinosuke can find Pokemon Catcher, or of course that 1-of copy of Prime Catcher, we could still see the combo turn out. And oh my goodness, look at these prize cards, Pablo. 3 Pokemon Catcher.
3 Pokemon Catcher. All the ones that were used last turn, last game, Raz was like, no, I don't want you to have them anymore. I'm just going to call your deck, leave them in the prize cards. Please don't use them against me.
Wow, so that is a pretty tough beat there for Seinosuke. Would have a decent shot to draw into them with the 4 available in the deck, so has a pretty good shot in order to get ahead you know, especially the way he was flipping in game number 1. Now it's going to come down to 1 Pokemon catcher, 1 Prime catcher, and can he draw those cards as well?
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough ask, right? You do have Squawk, of course, you have Pokestop, you have those tracking shoes, but you also need to get a Roaring Moon on the bench, right? You cannot Dark Patch to the bench, and in order to pull this off, you will need a Dark Patch and Professor Sada. So big Squawk and Seas coming here. This could be a big breather for Raz if Seinosuke doesn't have a powerful turn.
There's Pecharunt EX being placed onto the bench, and Prime Catcher's already found in this opening hand. That is pretty good. Use it right now. Bring up this Regidrago and a Darkness Energy. Is there a Dark Patch too? There is. Now the only thing Seinosuke is missing in order to get this turn 1 knockout is a Professor Sada's Vitality or another Dark Patch.
Yeah, wow, and with that Pokestop, you have even more deck.
And there's the Dark Patch.
There it is, wow, and the Sada too.
He's got everything. It is a good day to be Seinosuke Shiokawa using this Pokestop, discarding the top 3 cards. How about 3 item cards to be drawn?
Oh my gosh. There's nothing stopping this Roaring Moon EX deck. The underdog, I want to say, in this top 8, the unexpected deck. I mean, working like this, I'm not surprised it's gotten all the way to the top.
I mean, this is working like a well-oiled machine, firing on all cylinders. Seinosuke may have missed a little bit in game number 1, but he is not missing in game number 2, and this is going to be a pretty steep hill for Raz Wolpe to attempt to climb out of. Ultra Ball from Seinosuke, discarding another Ultra Ball and a Darkness Energy. This will mean he's able to get full value from the Professor Sada's Vitality in the hand, attaching a Darkness Energy from the discard pile to 2 ancient Pokemon in play. Of course, the pair of Roaring Moon EX on the bench being the recipients of the incoming supporter card. And then 3 cards will be drawn additionally after that. The turn is still not over.
Could this be any more perfect, Chip? I don't think you could handpick any better cards. We also find the Greninja. We're going to see more. We're going to discard the other Squawk. And even more energies. This is crazy. Even the luxury of not needing to potentially play the Earthen Vessel does decide to do it, but what an amazing start for Seinosuke here. I am without words. Wow.
Wow, what a setup, what a start. And this will take Raz's Regidrago V out of play. It'll take a Fire Energy out of play. Raz actually only playing 2 copies of the Fire Energy, so he will need to find yet another copy of the card. He's going to need to find everything next turn if he wants to respond to this onslaught from Seinosuke. All we need to see now is Subjugating Chains. And actually, you know what? We're not done. We're going to keep on digging here.
Yep.
Trekking Shoes, grabs another Sada. Why not? There's already a Dark Patch in hand. You know what? Should we just play it? We were doing everything else.
I would say so, right? This is incredible by Seinosuke. And he's not even going to have to use Frenzied Gouging. He will be able to take the knockout with Calamity Storm. Debating whether he wants to start powering up that Pecharunt, I guess that was the pause. But we're going to see that Subjugating Chains. I did not expect to be saying that in top 4 at the World Championships this weekend.
But indeed, we are saying it alongside saying Calamity Storm, discarding the stadium from play, 220 damage, taking down that Regidrago V in 1 single hit. Also, Seinosuke, looking at these prizes, was able to draw a Pokemon catcher. He's going to be able to go for it again next turn. How can Raz Wolpe respond? Nest Ball here, able to search the deck for any basic Pokemon, placing it onto the bench. A Teal Mask Ogre Pontiac could be a choice to get another another energy card into play in order to draw more cards. Mew EX also a consideration. This is where we would often see Pheasantipity, but as we mentioned in Game 1, it's a card Raz has chosen to omit from his list this weekend.
I mean, Raz's game plan of double Kyurem is still very valid, right? If he can pull that off, but not even a single energy in play does require double Ogerpon plus double energy switch plus Regidrago V-Star.
2 turns in a row!
Energy, 2 turns in a row. So maybe you can expect it this turn through the Legacy Star, given Raz's current hand. There's the V-Star. There's a Research.
Okay.
That's a start, right? That's a solid start.
And there is that Kyurem drawn. Needs to find a way to discard it as well. There's the Fire Energy.
1 energy switch.
An Ultra Ball, but I don't see any Grass Energy. I don't see a second energy switch. And I don't see any energy switch. I think it's just a regular switch.
You can see in his expression, he's not happy with the cards he drew. The Mew gave him hope, but I think research, Professor Oak did not help out Raz this time around.
Raz having to think of maybe an alternate plan here. This is where the players will try to find that 1% chance to come back into the game. It does seem ever so unlikely at this point. But when you're sitting across from a fully powered up Roaring Moon EX, an opponent with 7, 8, 9 cards potentially in their hand, you know that your odds of getting through the next turn without your opponent taking a 2-prize KO are not that high.
The other Roaring Moon already almost powered up, so even if you piece a knockout here, it's just gonna be really, really difficult. Eyeing up the Regidrago V-Star, does have a Nest Ball for the second Ogre Pawn. It's gonna come down to Legacy Star, but there's not even a backup Regidrago V at this point in time.
Yeah, Nest Ball can grab that, so at least gives him a shot, but that may actually need to grab the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn.
Yeah, exactly.
To get the energy
Otherwise, you're not attacking this turn. I mean, Raz might have to bank on Seinosuke whiffing for a turn and using Grasping Draw again. That might be his best chance, but given what we've seen so far from Seinosuke's deck, from his decision-making, Seinosuke is going to be very aware and will do his best to target down that Regidrago V-Star, and this game could be decided by another Pokemon Catcher coin flip.
Seinosuke is 3 for 3 on those flips thus far. Could he go perfect 4 for 4 in this top 4 sets? And it may be what it comes down to, as Raz has just grabbed that Regidrago V. Probably not even going to see the Legacy Star here. More than likely just the Grasping Draw. Has one more card to debate to play.
It's a Prime Catcher he's debating, perhaps?
Like it was another Pokemon.
Oh, it's the Kyurem. Gonna retreat potential. Oh.
That's interesting, because now he can't Trifrost.
That eliminates the option to Trifrost to win this game. So, I mean, that works too, but then you're not Grasping Draw, so this pretty
is
much
how
tells your opponent
this might be Raz saying, this is my best way to get the Kyurem in the discard pile.
Yeah.
Hoping my opponent whiffs and they have to attack into it and knock it out.
Now, there's no Iron Bundle, and the Cleffa would mitigate that as well. Not going to start with the Pokemon Catcher, so going to keep it interesting. Might try to go for perhaps dig for the boss's orders if he can find it, and keep the Pokemon Catcher. I feel like Pokemon Catcher definitely gets stronger if you're able to play multiple at the same time.
Now, Seinosuke is playing just one single copy of Boss's Orders, but he's got a pretty decent amount of dig for it in this current hand. You know, there's the Darkness Energy. We can see concealed cards here. There's also a Pokegear 3.0 waiting in the hand. It looks like another Pokemon Catcher.
Oh my gosh. I mean, odds are, right, 50-50 on average. Seinosuke should be able to knock out another 2-prize Pokemon here. Yeah. And if you manage one head flip, right, you don't need both. You just need one out of the two, and you still have your Boss's Orders available. Things are looking dicey and dicier for our Regidrago V-Star hero here.
Using the Nest Ball, Seinosuke able to grab the Pheasantipity EX from the deck. More than anything, just thinning at this point. There is honestly a chance that Seinosuke will not even have to use Flip the Script in this game. It's looking like Raz Wolpe may have a hard time even taking prize cards. Seinosuke playing the Trekking Shoes, looking at the top card. Does he want it? Does he discard it? Now, an interesting thing here is, do you go for the Pokemon Catchers, or do you try to find Boss this turn?
I think that you hit on a very key point, Chip. I feel like if at any point Seinosuke needs to Professor Sada or needs to use Judge in order to target down the right Pokemon, right? That is why he's not playing the Pokemon Catchers, and this has so much value. Wow, that Pokegear could be huge. There cannot be many cards left over here.
It may almost be guaranteed. There are 2 Pokegear, I'm pretty sure, in this hand as well. Looks like about 12 or so cards in the deck.
And
the Boss's Orders is able to be found. Seinosuke will be able to take a 2-prize knockout and put himself down to just one more knockout necessary in order to close out and punch his ticket into Championship Sunday.
Is this checkmate, Chip? You go Boss, knock out either of these 2 Pokemon, and all of a sudden you attach the energy here, you have Frenzied Gouging guaranteed, and if your opponent chooses to attack, they lose. If they don't attack, they also lose.
It's going to put Raz in a seemingly impossible situation. The stakes could not be higher. Raz will certainly try to find any line he can to get out of this spot. But sure enough, Boss's orders moves that Kyurem to the bench, brings up Teal Mask, Ogre Pawn, EX, and also Palpad will be able to recycle the Boss's orders. Honestly, don't even know if I would want to put back that Professor Sada. Let's just throw back the Boss. That's what we need to win.
Agreed, yeah. And that's exactly what he's going to do. There you go, Chip. Yeah, I mean, this is such high-level play. I feel like most players would have immediately played the Pokemon Catcher, right? It's the exciting card. It's a card that helps you get that 2-price knockout. But Seinosuke held on to those Pokemon Catchers, and now he has all of those available for himself next turn in case he needs to judge, in case he needs to Professor Sada. This is huge. I'm
extremely impressed with this play from this young player. He is able to take the knockout to Pokemon Catcher, remaining in the prizes at the moment. 2 fully powered Roaring Moon EX.
And there we have it.
Raz Wolpe recognizes he cannot close this one out, and Seinosuke will represent Japan in our TCG Masters Division Finals.
What a match, what a display, what a powerful display of this Roaring Moon EX deck. Who needs to deal with Regidrago V-Star when you can just KO every supporting Pokemon around it and just win that way? Yeah, quick 2-2-2, 3 turns in order to win probably many games. This is how he approached the World Championships, and it clearly worked.